Welcome back. We have a shocking statistic to share with you now. Every year, more people die from lung cancer than colon, breast, and prostate cancer combined. But this week, men and women across the country will join forces for the Turquoise Takeover. It's an effort to raise awareness about lung cancer. And joining me right now is Dr. Mark Block, the chief of the Division of Thoracic Surgery for the Memorial Healthcare System. Thank you so much for being with us today. So explain to our viewers, how is it possible that more people die from lung cancer than all those other cancers combined?
It really is a surprising statistic. And in fact, another way to look at it is the leading cause of death is heart disease. The second leading cause of death is lung cancer. Wow. So it's a lot of people. And of course, smoking has a lot to do with it. There are some people who are never smokers who get lung cancer, but it's such a common problem and we really don't talk about it. So that's why we're sponsoring this Turquoise Takeover, to just make people aware that this is a really big problem.
Is there a certain demographic that's most impacted by lung cancer?
Well, one of the goals of Turquoise Takeover is to make people aware that women really are seriously affected by this disease. In fact, as you said, more women are dying from lung cancer than the next several cancers combined. We often think about the typical lung cancer patient as being that 70-year-old man who smoked their whole life. Well, lung cancer is a disease of women too.
Wow, that's surprising. So what are some of the things that lead to lung cancer besides the obvious, which of course is smoking? What else is causing it?
Yeah, so about 80% of people with lung cancer are either active smokers or were smokers at one time. So that leaves 20% of people who really don't have that link to cigarette smoking. Now, some of them, it's just from passive exposure to secondhand smoke. That's become a more important factor as we're looking into the data. And then there are environmental exposures, for example, asbestos exposure at work. There are other chemicals that can cause that, and then not so much here in South Florida, but in other parts of the country, exposure to radon, which is a type of radioactive gas that accumulates in people's basements around the country. Wow. So there are some other environmental exposures, and then genetics play a factor.
Do you find that there is a higher concentration of lung cancer, say, in cities because of the air quality? Is that a possibility at all?
So I don't think that the CDC has really come to the conclusion that an urban environment is more risky than a rural environment. It has more to do with the particular exposures, and cigarette smoking is such an overwhelming factor that really dominates the equation.
It's really interesting. So what can we do then to keep ourselves healthy? If we're not smokers, let's say, we want to avoid getting lung cancer, what are some of the best steps we can take for prevention?
Yeah, so avoiding places where there's cigarette smoke. Now, it's a lot easier now when we go into a restaurant, we go into a bar, and you don't even notice the fact that there are no smokers there. Every once in a while, though, you do wind up someplace that allows smoking, and you can tell the difference right away. So staying away from cigarette smoking is important. The other thing that is becoming really important is the alternatives that people are using. Hookah smoking, for example, has become very popular. And in fact, there's a lot of very good data that spending an evening in a hookah bar is equivalent to smoking 1 to 2 packs of cigarettes. Oh, wow. Yes. So sometimes doing things that people think may not be so dangerous wind up being pretty important factors. So staying away from hookah bars, even e-cigarettes.
I was going to ask, vaping is very popular nowadays. Is there a link between vaping and lung cancer?
It's really too early to tell. Vaping's been around for such a short period of time that we don't have the length of time to know whether this is going to be a link to smoking. The problem is, though, that it definitely is linked to nicotine addiction, which is what cigarette smoking is all about. And we also know that there are thousands of chemicals in those vaping containers that we don't know all of them. It's not FDA regulated, so one vaping cigarette can be different from another. And so we advise people to stay away from that as well.
Wow, so a lot more to come. I'm sure we'll be learning a lot more, especially when it comes to vaping. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
And again, if you want to take part in the Turquoise Takeover, it's May 8th through the 12th, and you can head on over to WPBF.com. We have a link to the American Lung Association in Florida, so you can find out more information about lung cancer there, as well as how to take part. You can wear teal blue as a reminder to everyone to stay healthy and quit smoking.